Exactly.
That's true.
That's
But you didn't get away with it
nifty.
because there's cameras everywhere. All right, here's one. You want one too? How about you? My name is Nasser Habash. I came to the U.S. in 1988. I'm originally from Ramallah, Palestine. I was born in Jericho. I was 1 year old before my family moved to Ramallah. It's one of the biggest cities, actually. Basically, it's considered the capital of the Palestinians today. It's all the embassies and everything is in Ramallah. You know, it's not that big of a city, but it has a lot of population. I don't know, a couple of million maybe. I was very shy, but now I'm not. I don't know. I've been living in America for a long time. I'm an open-minded guy. I love to talk to everybody. And like I said, you know, the whole thing is like a big movie. And we're all the cast. Everybody has a story to tell.
So, I guess to I can't really talk about my story without starting with my parents.
So start with your parents.
Just because it would just be really abrupt. Yeah, my mom and her family moved in 1990 from Moscow, Russia, when the sort of metaphorical gates opened up for Jewish people in the country, and just about everyone in the country, but Jewish people especially. They were both able to leave, and they chose to go to Israel just because they thought that would be the best place of Jewish people. So anyone who at the time who was moving to Israel was given free university. So she went to the University of Tel Aviv, while my dad went into a job right away as a carpenter, and he also went into the army there. They met in Israel, and that's how I was born.
My name is Nicole Koshansky, and I was born in Tel Aviv, Israel, and I moved to America in July of 2002.
Start with maybe a story there, and then why you decided why you wanted to come here.
All right. So it was November of 1977. It was 4 months after I, graduated or finished high school in Jordan. And at the time, my options were, to go to school either in Eastern Europe, England, France, stay in Jordan, go to school there, or come to the United States.
We went when we got to the airport in Jordan, I have a very small family. I have 2 brothers, 3 cousins. He has 56 cousins, and first cousins, and all these. I get off the plane and I'm like, oh my gosh, who are all these people? They were all there and kissing me and hugging me and speaking Arabic, and you're so tired anyway. But I remember getting back to their house and I'm like, oh my gosh, my head was just spinning.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time.
No problem.
My name is Huma, and I was 2 years old when I came to the United States, so it was 1986. Right now I'm 34, and I live in Aurora, Illinois, and I just come here on weekends, pretty much.
Nice.
And it's a family-owned business.
Family-owned.
We've been here for 25 years.
Is this your little
My
one?
little one.
Oh, what's her name?
Her name is Nawal.
Noel. Oh.
And we sometimes take our kids to Pakistan to kind of know the culture. Basically, the culture is basically a thing that we don't have too much exposure for our kids. Basically, we actually had the atmosphere in our home that was more Pakistani. We were spoken our language, Urdu, which is. And right now we speak with our kids Urdu, and they give us answers in English. so we're like, what do we do with them?
My name is Roya Akavan. I'm a professor of mass communication at St. Cloud State University.
For me, wanting to do this film is as a way to react to some of the prejudices or some of the experiences that have been occurring here that face immigrants from the Middle East, whether they're Christian or Muslim or Baha'i or Jewish. And so we're trying to get a nice variety of perspective and I'm so thankful that you're willing to be a part of it, because I think after listening to what you have to say, it's a very compelling story.
So I grew up in Tehran, in Iran, and I grew up in a Baha'i family. My parents were both third generation Baha'is, and their ancestry was Jewish. In Iran, almost half of the Baha'is are from Jewish background, and half of them are from Muslim background, which is kind of an interesting thing. The Baha'i faith is, of course, a worldwide religion. There are Baha'is of every background, religious, ethnic background in the world.
So we have a Kabul city. Kabul is like a state, and they have a small suburbs, which one of the suburbs called Kirkman. That's my hometown. So I was living in that, and it was very easy for Taliban to attack on my family and kill everybody because I was working for the US military. Because they never wanted me to go to US because they said if you go to US, I mean, when we get somebody else and he doesn't speak English well, so we're going to be having trouble. So we don't want to lose you. And then in 2016, and the February 22nd, I came here. When I got here, I was like thinking all the way from Afghanistan to Chicago. I'm going to a new country. I have nobody in that country, no relatives, no families, nothing. And then finally they find this restaurant for me, and as a waiter, which I feel I was lucky because nobody can get a job like they come from another country straight away. And I started working as a waiter, and I started paying my bills because I'm still sending money to my home. Like I have to send like 200 something to my mom and dad.
Okay. Every month?
Well, every month, sometimes every other month.
Culture shock? I definitely had culture shock when I came to the States.
We left because of my mother's job. She worked as a programmer for a big company, an Israeli telecommunications company. And one of her clients was AT&T, and still is to this day. And they asked her to come to Chicago to train people over here about their systems and programs. It was supposed to be for 3 years, and they're going to travel around the country, see the West, and then come back home. And it just kept extending, and then a 3-year visa turned into a 5-year visa, which turned into a 7-year work visa, which then my mom's friend, who was also her boss at the time, was able to sponsor her for a green card. And then my mom said, might as well live here. And then we got our citizenship in the summer of 2014 or 15. So yeah, it just kept extending and it wasn't supposed to. We were supposed to come back home to Israel, but it just never came to fruition.
I had an uncle who lived in Chicago at the time, and so he kind of took me in and helped me out to get started. Did not speak a whole lot of English. I mean, I could understand what people would be saying. I thought they spoke really fast. But for the most part, I mean, I had to start learning from the beginning, pretty much, ABC and what have you.
It was like they gave me a visa.
What year was that?
So that 88. So it was one of the lucky ones. Up to the day, everybody want to come to America. I said, okay, I'll go over there and see what happens.
I was 18.
Did you come here by yourself or with any?
No, I came alone.
It was really hard to leave, Amman, Jordan, and come to Chicago. It was just hard to say goodbye, you know, especially going to, you know, not knowing where you're going, what's going to happen, stuff like that. So
I remember when my parents dropped me off, I wouldn't want to leave the car. And I was so scared because all of a sudden I see the school and these kids.
the first month, I mean, it was hell. It was really, really hard. I mean, I remember talking to my mom and my siblings, and I'd just be in tears, you know.
My mom actually started with the shop. We have an next door fabric shop, so we started from there, and then she started, I think, 1994. She started from home, and then from home, and the business kind of expanded, and then we moved over to the Devon Street, where mostly, I guess, the Pakistani Indian, where you get more clientele base, and they can come here, and so more exposure, basically.
And I realized they don't speak any of the languages that I know, and I don't know who they are, and they all look different. And it was just such a, out of nowhere, just seeing the school was such a shock to me.
In the book that I recently wrote, Peace for Our Planet, A New Approach, about what our world culture might look like. And I mentioned that, you know, if we ever have a, you know, a best kind of culture is one that has input from all cultures, because every culture in isolation tends to become extreme.
I think that was the moment when we bought our home, that we kind of knew this was probably a place we were going to stay in, probably the last place we were going to stay, especially after my parents' 2 immigrations. Yeah, we just didn't really have that huge community that we did there, and I think that's probably what I missed the most.
At the time, in 1977, when I left, you know, the tallest building in Jordan was like maybe 12 stories, you know, high, and you come over to Chicago, and there's like, you know, the Sears Towers, and there's, you know, Jan Honk. I mean, it was just like, you know, I was just, you know, in awe of how big everything is. And when you come to this country, you know, at an early age, it's your thinking, your whole system kind of way of thinking changes.
Well, actually, my brother-in-law opened it for a couple of years, and he thought I was good at it, so they left and I bought it. They decided to go home. I was retired. I didn't want to do anything. Honestly, I didn't do
Just
anything.
keep for 3-4 days, you think?
Yeah, that'd be fine. Let's see if I have it.
You have a pack? Yeah, this guy's great.
I'm comfortable. You know, it's not I hate it, you know, or I met a lot of people here. It's very interesting. This is very interesting. Like you said, you meet everybody here.
Obviously, we love our families, so we also love, you know, our countries, wherever we are from. But one of the things that I grew up with was that this sense of universal identity. So even though I was born in Iran and I grew up in that culture until I was 16, I have many of, you know, I understand many of the intricate beauties of the culture and love it. Because of being a Baha'i, I think my identity was always very international. So I just didn't feel that, you know, I could just put myself in a box of, okay, I'm Iranian, if that makes sense. And so just that identity has just evolved as I've grown older and been to more and more countries and lived in more cultures. I've lived in Japan, I've lived in China, and just helps me feel at home easier. And in fact, when I had just come to the United States, it was very interesting. I just didn't feel any different from anybody else until people would ask me, where are you from? And I said, oh, I guess I am different from everybody else. But I wasn't conscious of it on my own.
Do you have any favorite pieces in the store?
My favorite pieces. Let's see. There's a lot, but this is one I like. It's a little cave style, and then this is a belt that goes around the waist. So it gives you like a body shape kind of, which, you know, more outsell basically. Something like this. This is our own fabric from next door, and then we send it back home, and then we get it embroidered, customized, and everything.
Right before, when I moved in with my wife, 25 years, you know, in Minnesota, and we have two wonderful children, Jordan and Marcus, or Marcus and Jordan, I should say, because he was first. And yeah, I mean, you know, the fact that I was able to start a family in Minnesota, I think it's the way I look at it, it's a blessing.
We have to ask. I think this is a prayer space.
As I told you guys, like I work 4 days, like from 6 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock at night. So I don't see my kids for 4 days, and then plus 2 days I go to school.
Right.
So I'm not giving my time to my kids and my family. So at least they can go out by themselves.
And there's people who speak their language.
And they can meet those people that are from my country. So she doesn't feel alone.
Was it easy for you to find a mosque when you first arrived?
Oh yeah, it was very easy because we have like almost 6, 7, 8 mosques by Divan. So I can go to mosque anytime. And I usually go to a Friday mosque every Friday. 2 o'clock.
With your family?
Well, my family doesn't go, but sometimes my oldest son, he goes. Friday, we gather all the Muslims together. It's called Friday Prayer, and it's every Friday between 1 to 2.
Means peace. It means he who people are safe from 2 things: his tongue and his hands. That's what Muslim means. It says, okay, there's a verse in the Quran. It says the only religion accepted by God is Islam. It didn't say Sunni, it doesn't say Shia, nothing. So what was the Prophet and his companions? They were just Muslims.
Like when you go to the ground, like, yeah, so that is highest respect for God, that, you know, I'm leaning down and respect you, you know. That's the main thing, you know. Come back from your busy life and pray to God. Okay, it's time for me to remember you now, you know. You're the one who gave us everything, life and whatever we are, making health, everything is from God.
Right now, I just feel that they don't know exact meaning, like what Muslim is. Like if, like right now, like in Vegas, like there was shooting, like 50 people died, and it was an American person who killed. And yeah, it's not a terrorist attack. And if some Muslim does attack or something, they're labeled as a terrorist, like a big thing. So that's one propaganda I don't understand in America. And we're in the, in 2017, it's like looking, we're going backward, like no one's thinking about the future.
What Muslims believe, they believe that the same message came to the whole world anyway. Even like the word hallelujah, what Christians use in their churches, it's actually, you cannot say hallelujah without saying Allah. The word was actually what Jesus says, Allah, Allah, Allah. Why have you forsaken me?
It's basically it's up to you, how you are, what your beliefs are, how you represent it to the people. That's the main thing.
As a Baha'i, I believe that humanity is one, and that all forms of prejudice really come from ignorance, and they need to be eliminated. I think if people understood that every individual is an individual, and you cannot in any way generalize, about people, and to take the actions of a few and generalize about millions or billions of people is completely ignorant and wrong. And I think that immigration is something that enriches humanity, the more the better. And there's so many different aspects of it. So I definitely am in favor of taking down the borders rather than putting up walls. Historically, since the 19th century, Baha'is have been persecuted in Iran. But after the revolution, it turned into systematic persecution, jailing, executions, taking away jobs, closing businesses. It's all basically, and it goes on to this day. Very severe persecution of the Baha'is.
Could you talk about a little bit being a Christian in an Islamic country?
Yeah, I grew up, in Jordan with a bunch of. Most of my friends were Muslims. Christianity in Jordan is only about 2%. So at the time when I lived there, out of 2 million, there was, about 20,000 Christians.
You ever received discrimination for being a Christian?
From Muslims?
Yeah.
Well, you are discriminated against, in a way that, they just think that you're wrong in what you believe. They believe what they believe, and they just think that's the right way. And you're pretty much. Discrimination is there. You believe what you believe, and try to be at peace with it, and it's that.
I think, especially with my grandparents and even great-grandparents, where it was like it was difficult to accept that there was something that happened to our people that my family experienced. I can tell you numerous accounts of my family that was affected by the Holocaust, and then there being a God. But that besides the point. Like going to a synagogue and something like that was something I'd never grown up with. But what I can say is that from what I have been learning recently and trying to get in touch with Judaism as a religion, and what I remember of it in Israel is that it is quite different. It's more cultural in Israel. Growing up, I had a really big identity crisis because I never knew when people were, and to this day I never know what to say. What are you, or like who are you, or where do you, do I say I'm Israeli even though I speak Russian? Do I say I'm American even though I'm an immigrant? Do I say that I'm Russian even though I've never been in the country, let alone had any experience in the country? So yeah, it's definitely a huge mess in my brain. Who am I? Like, what do I call myself? And I always just end up saying, well, I'm Jewish.
Call from Aisha Sultana.
Yeah.
What?
That's true.
Is Armenia part of Europe or the
And the first woman encouraged Islam, and the first one to be Muslim is a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And she was a merchant. She was a businesswoman.
Yeah, she was very wealthy, right?
Yeah.
She like.
And she was 25 years older, but people don't learn from that. People forget all that. You know, everybody's all for women's rights as long as it's not their daughter or sister.
Before the revolution, it wasn't so oppressive of women, but still women didn't have equal rights. And all of these things, I grew up being taught that I was equal to my brothers.
And we're afraid to have like more children because of what's going on in this world right now. What are they going to learn? And you're thinking about their future at the same time, and you want best for your kids, for their future, but now I have to think twice to even have a child.
Wait, you need to walk behind me. I'm like, what? This seems so weird to me, that I had to do things like that as well, and just, would be very conservative. I'd always need to make sure, I didn't have to wear anything on my head, but I always brought long dresses or, make sure my arms were covered. You just want to be respectful.
The problem in the world is actually created by men. That's why all the missiles and bullets shape as a penis.
So here's the thing, the reason I haven't been back is that I can't go back. If I go back, I risk my life. Because I have no idea if they're gonna take me, arrest me, hang me.
We've been asking everybody this question. What does home mean for you? Since you've lived in a few different places, what do you bring with you everywhere you've lived?
I think people call a place home where they feel safe and they feel loved. Unless they try to oppress me, I'm going to feel at home.
Of home as Pakistan or as home in Chicago?
There's something about home, like Pakistan, I guess, even though I grew up for so many years back kind of thing, and it still reminds me like Pakistan's our home, So there is difference here and there. Food, the food, people sometimes, because we don't have like I don't have my family stuff like here. We still have some family back home.
Something that I want, for my kids too. I want them to be, successful. I want them to, love what they do and be good at it and be happy. That's what I've learned from being here. It's not about really what you want from them. It's about what they want to do and how happy they'll be doing it.
Pretty happy. Pretty happy.
Home is where the people you love are and the people you want to take care of are.
Home? I think it's dead.
What do you mean?
Because everybody dies. We all go home. Where we came from. That's what home is.
So really you could live anywhere then?
I think humans are adaptable. We can adapt to any place. They can learn a lot of languages. But it all depends on the environment. I know it's a lot of laws, immigration laws. You know? So when you go home, what does that mean? A piece of land that, okay, if you live free all your life, land you're gonna die and you'll be buried there. And how many people have been buried for the last 10,000 years or 5,000 years? So we're here, it's just a destination, not a destination. You're here just for a short period of time. You know, and this is Earth, is God's Earth anyway. So I think all the humans own it. It's just the human concept that divide everything, and this is where racism comes from. It's from hate, pride. It's come from hate. Humans, they create a lot of hate. There's a lot of pride. This is mine, this is yours. And actually what I'm trying to say, unfortunately in this world, there is more of a property rights than a human rights.
My name is S-H-E-R, and I stand every. That's a greeting that is peace be upon you.